Invoke 3 is out and it might be your favorite new AI tool. Hello my friends, how are you doing? If you search for something that is not cluttered, complex, overloaded, you just want to have fun, Invoke 3 might be the solution for you. But also if you want to have a deep dive into AI, this might also be great for you because they have started to add nodes so you can build really complex node builds, a lot of crazy automations, and what you can also do is to create your own nodes and build it exactly as you want. Let's have a look at how all of that works. Now, personally, I'm going to suggest to you to make a new install rather than update, so you are sure that everything is completely fresh and working perfectly for you. And by the way, InvokeAI is optimized so it can run with GPUs with as little as 4 GB of VRAM. So the first thing you need here is Python 3.10.9. That is really easy. Just scroll down here on the page and then choose the Windows installer 64-bit, download it, install it, easy peasy. Next on this page that I'm going to link below, you want to scroll down a little bit and here it says for Windows, what you want to have is the Windows Visual C libraries. There's a link here, again, click on that link. This sends you to this page and there is 3 versions of architecture in here. If you don't know what your architecture is, go down here and type sys and click on system information, and here as you can see, I have a system type of x64 base PC. That is what I'm going to use here to download, and then of course just install and you're ready. After that, you can see here at point 3, we have the installer for InvokeAI. Click on this link here for the latest releases, and this will bring us to the Invoke version 3 page. And when we scroll down on that a little bit here, we have the InvokeAI installer version 3 zip file. You want to download that and unpack this. Inside of that zip file, you find a folder called InvokeAI installer. When you open that, you have here the install bat. Now you don't have to move this folder where you want to install InvokeAI, because once you double click on the install bat file, this is going to open up this window. By the way, there is another requirement here that you have double click on this file, win long path enable rec, and then enable the longer names for window paths. This is also important, so it's good that they remind you here. And then below that, you can see that they're asking you, where do you want to install InvokeAI? Usually this is going to go into the base folder of your user account on that drive, so that should be okay. Simply down here go with no, so you don't want to choose a different location. After that, in a next step, this is asking you if you want to use an NVIDIA GPU. So here you're going to choose choice 1. Next, this is going to present you with some additional choices. You have the not safe for work checker. This is marked. You might get false positives where images that are not adult images still get blurred out, so you might have problems with that. So just uncheck this here. Below that, it's asking you if you want to use Xformers. This is automatically enabled. I would leave it like that. Then you have here free GPU memory after each generation. Might be positive if your GPU is low on VRAM, that this is cleared every time after the generation. And then also we have for CPU to be used on GPU systems. Not a good idea because then it's becoming really slow for the rendering. Below that you have precision, leave that at auto. On the size for the RAM cage used for fast model switching, you can choose how many gigabytes of RAM could be used to load models into the RAM to make it faster for the switching. And then below that it is asking you to accept the license for downloading the Stable Diffusion weights. Just tick that box and you're good to go. Next, we're coming to a screen that is asking you what kind of models you want to download. You can also add them afterwards. So if you have already downloaded a lot of models, you don't really need to download them again here. But if you have something you don't have, you can still tick the boxes here. One thing to point out here is that for Stable Diffusion XL, you need to have an access token on Hugging Face. Now, this is something you probably don't need to download because right now it's not natively supported in Invoke 3. It is only supported in the nodes, so you might want to wait for that. And then later you can always add that manually to the folder. So there is not really a need right now unless you want to play around with the nodes with SDXL. For the ControlNet, I would suggest that you select all of these choices here just so you have all of them ready to go if you want to. For the Lora choices, there is not too much that can be chosen here if you want to just add them. The same goes for the textual inversions. Now at this point, there's something important to point out here. Below all of these choices, there should be a button for apply and then also for apply changes and exit. I would suggest you need to click on the apply button in the middle because this is going to start all the downloads but not close the window automatically for you, so you can see if the downloads are actually happening. And also when you see here the log messages for the download, you will see that, for example, the diffusion PyTorch model.save tensor is going to download again and again and again. The reason for that is because all of these files you're downloading have the exact same name. So this is not a mistake. Just wait for everything to download and finish. It might take a while depending on how many things you have selected. And then when it's finished, you're going to get a message that it is finished, and then you can click here on apply changes and exit. Now that all of the installation is finished, we are ready to look into the InvokeAI folder. Now in here, it is very organized. We have one Invoke bet. This is to start the Invoke UI, but also, and this is important, we have here an auto import folder. Now this is a simplified version to add models that you want to put into that folder from the outside. So when you open up this folder, inside you will see you have ControlNet, embedding, Lora, main, and VAE. So that you can put your files in here if you want to copy them over from other folders or download them manually and you want to put them into folders. And this will then be linked to the actual folders that are deeper in the system. But if you already have downloaded other models through Automatic 1111, you actually don't need that because they can be linked inside of InvokeAI to the folders where you already have them. So let's double click on the InvokeAI bat to start the UI. And this is what it looks like. There's a lot of changes here, a lot of improvements also, so let's go over all of them. Now, first of all, on the left side, you have different icons. You can see you have text to image, image to image, and also a unified canvas where you can do inpainting, outpainting, and other amazing things. Also below that, you have a node editor. You have to turn this on to see this icon. And below that, you have a model manager. This is where you can import the other models. So let's look at that first. So inside of the model manager, what you want to do here is to go to import models, and there you want to put the local address of your model folder. For example, if you only want to import the stable diffusion checkpoint models or safe tensor models, go to Automatic 1111 to the models folder, to the stable diffusion folder, open that up. And then up here, you click into the address bar, and then you can copy the address over and put it in here. After that, you simply click on Add Model. This will scan the folder and add all of the models that are found in there. So afterwards, when you click on the Model Manager tab, you can see that you have your models all in here listed, and also there is a description of the type of the model you have. For example, these are diffuser models and these are checkpoint models. Now, another thing you can do here is to directly import a model from the internet. For that, you could, for example, go to CivitAI, and the way you would do this is not to use the address up here in the address bar, but instead you want to right click on the download button and copy this link where the model actually sits. Now we go back into InvokeAI, you click here, right click, and paste this in, and then when you click on Add Model, this is going to start to download the model inside of your CMD or command line window. After that, you can use it in the UI. If you want to, you can also merge models together. Now, there's a little bit of a caveat here because this only works for models that are in the diffuser format, not in the checkpoint format, not in the save point format. For most models you download from CivicAI, this is not going to work. You might want to do that inside of Automatic 11.11. So let's have a look on how the interface works and how the functionality works here. On the left side, you can see for our text to image, we have here our positive prompt and also our negative prompt. Here on the side, you can extend this window to have more space for your text. It's also automatically extending the more you write. Up here, you can write everything you need for the positive prompt, but the Loras are not placed inside of the positive prompt in this UI. But in the negative prompt, the embeddings are actually placed in here. Now they have a very nice new function. The embedding name is starting with a pointy bracket, so when you press the pointy bracket, this is going to give you a list of all of the negative embeddings. So you can simply click on that and this is going to add the rest of that text. Below that, you have a lot of adjustments you already know from Automatic 11.11. For example, you can choose how many images you want to create. You want to adjust the steps, the CFG scale. You can choose the model here. You can choose the VAE specifically for each generation you want to do here. So that is pretty useful. And of course, you have here a list of the different schedules or samplers as they are called inside of Automatic 11.11. Then you also have a seed here and you can also turn on a random seed. So this is going to change the seed with every image. Now you can see here that I have sliders instead of just numbers, and you can actually choose that over here on the right side. When you click on settings, you have here use sliders for all options and you can turn it on. Personally, I find that a lot easier because it's a lot faster to use the sliders rather than enter a number value. Now next you have the ratio, and this has a nice new addition because here you can choose a free ratio. That means you can choose both sides, the width and the height, independently. But what you can also do is to click here, for example, on portrait, and then this is going to choose a ratio for you that is always a portrait ratio. So if I move the width, the height is coming with me based on the ratio, so you don't have to do any complex calculations in your head. And you can see if I have a width of 512, the height is going to be 768 as expected. What you can also do, of course, is to have all of that horizontal. For that, you want to click here on swap size, and now we still have portrait, but it's going to be in the width, not in the height. Now below that, you can see we have some additional options. First of all, we have ControlNet. When we click on that, you have down here enable ControlNet and then a big plus button. When you click on that, you will add an additional ControlNet. Now inside of the ControlNet, you can choose here the different models that you have downloaded, as we have seen before in this download install dialog. And when you choose a model up here, this will also automatically load the pre-processor for you. So now we have depth, and this also has depth down here. This will automatically always process the image you have put in here. So you can see when I mouse over, I see the original image, and if I pull the mouse away, I see the depth map for that image. You can either drag images here from your hard drive, but you can also go over here to your gallery on the right side and simply drag an image into here, and then this is going to be calculated for the process that you have selected, in this case depth. But let's go over to Kenny. Now it's recalculating it. Now we have a Kenny map. You can also have this image bigger. When you click here on this arrow that shows a show advanced settings, click on that. You want to scroll up a little bit, and below the image, as you can see, you have a low threshold and a high threshold for creating this Kenny map. And of course, these going to be different sliders depending on the method you're going to use. With this, you can refine how accurate the map is and what part of the image it is actually using. And of course, like I said, by clicking on plus, you can use as many ControlNets as you want to use here. Now, next, we're going to come to Loras. Like I said, they are not going to be in the prompt window, but instead they're going to be down here. So when you click on that, you can see here that I already have the add detail Lora. We have a slider for the weight of that Lora, and we have a pop-down menu for all of the Loras I have so far in my folder. Now here, when you, for example, click the Lora, this is also going to be added. So I have now an additional slider here. So this is also going to be used for the image now. And don't worry, for a Lora, it doesn't matter where it is in the prompt. It only matters the weight of the Lora. So having it down here will not influence the quality or result of your image. Below that, we have dynamic prompts. Now this is a function you find in Automatic 1111 as a XYZ plot script for search and replace. Here it is simply called dynamic prompt, but the changes for the prompt are not put down here as text. Instead, they are being put inside of your prompt. So let's have a look on how that looks. First of all, you want to enable the dynamic prompts by clicking here. Now the other options are also accessible. Below that, you can see we have a combinatorial generation. When you turn this on, this is going to generate a combination of all of the dynamic prompt combinations that you have set. Below there, you have a slider to how many maximum images this can create. And as you can imagine, the more choices you give it, you can easily get hundreds or thousands of combinations. So you might want to limit this here to a maximum number of what you want to have. So how do we actually set these variations, and how do you get still consistent results? If you scroll up to the prompt again, you can see inside of the prompt here, I have this section. Now in here, I'm starting with a curly bracket. Then I have my first word. Then I have a straight line, another word, another straight line, another word, and then a closing curly bracket. These are the variables that I can use so that I have a red, a blue, and a green summer dress. However, while this is using the exact same seed, you're still going to get different images because the prompt is changing. Of course, you don't want that to happen. So here is my advice to get around that. What you want to do is to generate one image that has a composition that you like and want to keep. Then you want to turn on one ControlNet. You want to set it to canny and drag this image over here to be used as a ControlNet input. After this is done, you can use your dynamic prompt with all of the settings you have set up, and then you click here on Invoke to generate these images. Now, because now we are using the canny ControlNet, you can see this is our red dress. Here we have the blue dress, and here we have the green dress. Now below here, there is two more settings. One is called noise. This is kind of a specialty because when you have a Mac or when you have a PC, the noise from the seed is generated a little bit differently. On some computers, the noise is generated from the CPU, and on other computers, the noise is generated from the GPU, and that will create different results even with the same settings and the same seed. So here you can choose if you want to use it for the CPU, which is turned on by standard. So all of the noise that is generated for your seeds are coming from the CPU now, regardless of the device you are using. But you can also enable this here and then turn it off. And that means now the noise for the seed is coming from the GPU instead. And below that, you can see you have clip skip as an advanced option. Now this is usually not visible. To have this choice enabled, what you want to do is to go again up here on the right side to settings, and there you want to click on show advanced options and turn that on. Now one thing you're not going to find here is restore face, and the reason for that is because inpainting or image to image upscaling just gives you better results to get a nicer face in the end. Up here you have this icon that looks like a link icon. You want to click on that, and here you can see you can send it either to image to upscale the complete image, and this will also improve the face, or you want to send it to the unified canvas where you can do masking and inpainting just for the face. Personally, I would suggest you send it to image, and now we are in the image to image interface. Now on the left side we have our input image, on the right side we would see our output image. Because I haven't rendered yet, this is going to be the exact same image as before. Now one thing you want to take into consideration if you have used dynamic prompts before is to turn off dynamic prompts, because otherwise it's going to render again all of these images for you. So turn that off. And then up here in the prompt, you want to remove everything you don't want to have here. So in this case, we remove all of these choices and just leave the green dress. Down here for the size, there is no multiplier, so you simply push this up to the value you want to have. So I grab this and I want to have here 1032 by 1536 as an upscale. You can of course adjust all of the other settings and then simply click here on Invoke. And as you can see here, this has generated my upscaled image, and the face and all of the other details are much nicer now in that new image. If instead you want to use inpainting with the canvas, what you're going to do here is again click in text to image onto this icon here and select Send to Unified Canvas. In here you will see that you have this kind of box. For that you want to use up here the mover, and then you can move this around over the face of the girl. Now this is also adjusted to the ratio we have, but of course you can change the ratio to what you want to have here. So now we are only rendering this part of the image. And now if I click on Invoke, again you can see that we are getting a very nice face, and the rest of the image, the rest of the details are all staying completely the same. But of course what this also means is that in this case the rest of the image is not going to be upscaled, so it is the same size as before. Now before we go over to the notes, I want to show you a new addition that we have on the right side with the gallery. In the past you only had one gallery with everything in there, but now you can actually create folders. So here you can see we have a category for images, and when you go up here to uncategorized, you can see that we can create boards here. You simply click on the plus, this is going to add the new board, and then you can simply click in here and type the name. Simply click and drag this into that folder so you have it here. This, on the other hand, can also make it a lot easier to delete all of these images at the same time. So when you right click on this, you can see delete board, and this is going to ask you if you only want to delete the board or you want to delete the board and the images. Then we also have an assets tab in here. Now what that is that you can drag images from the outside from your hard drive into the gallery, and they will automatically be added to the assets. Again, you can create folders for the assets if you want to. One thing to notice here is when you drag in images here that have been created with Automatic 1111 for the information of the image, you will see there is no reading here for all of the settings and the prompts and negative prompts you have been using. But of course, if the images have been created with InvokeAI, you have all of that information in here. And on top of that, you also have the image details and you have a graph information here. Now what the graph is that this will have a full structure of all of the nodes that have been used to create that image. And the interesting thing here is because InvokeAI is going to be based on the node structure, every image, even if you have created it with text to image, will have a node-based structure in it. Now let's talk about the nodes for a little bit. They are an advanced option, but they are also a very early access option right now. So to actually see the node editor icon over here, you have to again go to the settings on the top right, and then you can see here enable node editor experimental. Click on that to enable that. Now you have that icon over here. When you click on that, you have here a canvas where you can create and connect all kinds of nodes. You can also scroll into the canvas so you can read all of the text here a lot better and see all of the connections. So this is very, very easy to use. But of course, this is an early access, so the UI still needs some improvement. For example, you will realize when you click on a node, this is not going to highlight the cables that are connected to the nodes. If you want to add more of these nodes, you can click up here on Add Node, and there's a long list in here of all the kinds of different nodes that you want to experiment with. Again, this is also supporting SDXL, but you can also search for nodes in here. So for example, if you type text, this is giving you, for example, text to latent. This is what basically is text to image, but of course the image is not directly rendered. You have to afterward convert it via VAE to an actual image. So this works very similar to how ComfUI works right now. Another cool thing here is if you know your way around code a little bit, you can actually write custom nodes for that. Now, technically, you could also use ChatGPT to create the code for the nodes for you, but in my testing today, that didn't quite work, and you still have to understand code to actually correct the output of ChatGPT. I would also highly advise you to join the Discord for InvokeAI, where you can ask the community and also the team to help, and also with the notes and the programming. So there's lots of information in there, lots of learning opportunity. I will put the link for the Discord below this video. Personally, I'm a huge fan of InvokeAI because it has a very beautiful UI, but also a very easy workflow, so you can just stay in your artistic flow and generate. It's not cluttered, it's not overloaded, it's just to the point of the tools you actually use. So try it out today. It's of course completely free to download. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and see you soon. Bye. Oh, you're still here. So this is the end screen. There's other stuff you can watch like this or that. It's really cool. And yeah, I hope I see you soon. Leave a like if you haven't yet. And well, yeah.